welcome to your favorite podcast, Mostly Whatnot.
That's a completely original name. In no way taken. If you see another podcast that starts with mostly, they rip this off. It's bullshit. We will sue. So our lawyers are standing by.
You can call business dad. Good luck with that.
It's business time.
But in all seriousness, yes, that joke is at the expense of Aaron Francis, our guest today. Hey, Aaron, how's it going?
Good. Thanks for having me here, and thanks for starting off with a joke at my expense. Now we're ready. I'm ready to go. This is great. I love it.
That's
Nice.
called the warm up. So
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yeah, I feel like probably anyone watching this has heard of you. But in case they haven't, do you want to give a few sentences about who you are and what you do?
Sure. I'll give you potentially up to 3 sentences. Let's see. So my name is Aaron Francis. I am a dad of 4 children, 2 sets of twins, if you can believe it. Historically, by trade, I've been a Laravel developer, but starting about a year ago, my friend Steve and I started our own company where we do primarily developer education. So we've done a course on SQLite, on Postgres. We released a guest course today on Rails, and we're working on a course at screencasting.com, kind of a refresh of that course. So lots of developer education, lots of open source work, lots of databases, lots of Laravel, that sort of stuff.
yeah.
Nice.
You did have a follow up so your company is Try Hard Studios. Robbie is obsessed, so let me just say this, but he wants to know if you were influenced by Ryan Reynolds with the name of that company.
Yes, of course. Yeah, I wrote several. I think I wrote at least one blog post and many tweets. It was very much on brand that I was in my maximum effort era. And that was directly inspired by the name of his company. And then when it came time to start a company, I was like, man, that sucks. He's got the good one. And so we kind of like thought about it and we're like, oh, we could get pretty adjacent and kind of reclaim the try hard thing as a notion for good. And so that's what we did. But yeah, totally love Ryan Reynolds and everything he does.
Nice. So do we. We have the Ryan Reynolds fan club stickers for this show. We'll have to send you some.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, they look like the Wrexham crest, kind of. And then, yeah, if I can convince Robbie, we'll make soccer jerseys too, but we'll see. He's like, I don't really like jerseys. Oh,
it's a pretty good impression, actually.
Yeah, that's what he sounds like. I don't know. It's thank you. I've been working on that.
Yeah.
It's part of my next season's material. But speaking of funny stuff or whatever, let's talk about the whiskey a little bit. That's really the only reason why.
Yes. Very comedic.
Yes. Today we're having Green River Foolproof Bourbon. It is 117.3, so it is not for the meek of heart. It is a mash bill of 70% corn, 21% rye, and 9% malted barley. It is not age stated, but some things that I found in press releases said it's a blend of 5 to 7 year old bourbons. So not too shabby. And apparently Aaron's been drinking for the last 30 to 40 minutes, so I don't know.
Whoa. Don't speak that upon me. I poured my drink ahead of time so that I could be focused on the content.
Yes, I do. We appreciate that.
Thank you for sending this to me.
Our pleasure.
Yes, and we're drinking this out of Norland glasses. Check out, I always forget their website.
Norland Glass, Norland
Glass?
I think it is.
I always want to say Norland Glasses. So can you check? Because my browser is in this tiny little.
I'll do
prompter.
that. Yeah, I'll do that briefly. And luckily, they don't pay us for this. So,
well, they just give us classes.
Yeah, which is nice and generous. No shade on that, but Norland Glass. It is norlandglass.com. NORLANGLASS.com.
All right. So go there for really good glasses. We actually used these well before they sent them to us. We were big fans of these. So I reached out to them and was like, hey, we love these. Can we send them to everyone else and make them love them too? And they were like, possibly. So
Well, that's
And thus,
cool.
thus far, they have
Yeah.
been. Are you a whiskey person, Aaron?
I historically have been more of a whiskey person, although the past probably 5 years I've been a gin person. So this is bringing me back.
Yeah, I like gin too. Like gin is really fun, and the
I don't know her.
Ooh. Not Jen, gin.
I know.
Maybe you should go over to Britain. There's a lot of gin there. Woo, that's got some heat. Sorry.
I make a lot of it's it is whew.
Yeah.
I make a lot of Negronis at home. That's my go-to drink at home. So
We are twins, apparently. Just not.
Are
in
we?
looks. Well, I like I love Negronis. That's probably my favorite cocktail.
yep.
Most of the cocktails I like the best are actually gin based. That and the Last Word. Amazing.
Last word,
Those-
great.
good
Love a
stuff.
last word.
Yeah. Robbie is always trying to get a last word. But I also heard something too.
Trying
But
to get words in, you mean?
I know. Yeah. yeah,
Yeah.
that too. Somebody on a recent episode was mentioning. So I'm moving my family overseas in the summer.
Are you
Is
going
that
with
something
them?
you? No, I would like freedom actually, and the best I could do was my wife said she would go stay in Italy if that's where I sent her. So it'll be great. Are you planning to move overseas or something? Somebody said, "Oh, Aaron Francis is doing that," and I'm like, "Okay, I wouldn't."
Never.
No,
Not
never.
a chance.
Okay.
Not a
Yep.
chance.
There we go.
Before we had kids, this was probably, goodness, 2017, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
My wife and I both worked remotely, and we did move to Paris for 3 months. So we were just like, why don't we go? And 90 days was the longest you could go without any sort of like complicated visa or anything.
Yep.
We had a a friend of a friend live in our house. It was like he was up here on a summer internship, and we were like, sure, can you stay here and watch our dog? We're gonna go to Paris. And so we did that for 3 months, and it was like absolutely amazing. And we've talked about going back, but given the state of the ages of our family, that's not in the cards for
Not
a little
ideal.
while.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
fair enough. See, that
Yeah.
person.
Plus, you
whom
need
I
a
don't
lot of plane
remember.
tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Are any lap children at this point?
We still have 2 that are under 2. So,
Yeah.
but I'm sorry to the children. I'm not flying to Europe with 4 kids under 4.
No.
Nope.
I'll
doesn't
go to
sound right.
Europe.
Would not
Maybe my wife
recommend
and I will
it.
go to Europe, but
Yeah.
we're not all going to Europe. I'm sorry.
Doesn't sound great. All right. Going to come back to the whiskey a little bit. So
Yes.
I know.
So I have very specific descriptors to the smell.
Okay.
It smells like, you know, when you have a circular saw and you cut through some wood and you get that like
do.
dust. It's like that mixed with banana. Like if your
So
board
you're
was
saying
made
it's
of banana and
Banana
wood.
sawdust.
Yep.
Yeah. Which, in theory doesn't sound very appealing, but I don't know.
It tastes a lot better than banana sawdust. I just kind of have to like tell everybody that.
Put that out in the
Yeah.
world that
Sorry to Green River Kentucky Straight Bourbon, but it's banana sawdust now.
Yeah, it's banana sawdust. Yeah. Oh yeah.
It
So
does
I don't
taste
know.
good, though.
Yeah, I had read some great things about this online in whiskey nerd circles, and so I've been wanting to try it for a little while. Yeah, I'm not even going to comment on smell because now Robbie's very much tainted the smell for me. I did pick up on the like kind of sawdust right away, but flavor
But not the
wise,
bananas so much.
not as much bananas. Not for me. Maybe a banana
Well,
peel.
My son has been very into this banana bubbles, like in the bath we play with him, and it's like a lot like that scent. So maybe not like actual banana, but like
Artificial banana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, flavor wise, I'm getting a bit of like a little like creme brulee, actually. So
Yeah.
some
Mine must have transmutated in shipping because I'm not getting banana or creme brulee. But it's possible that's a me problem.
What are
it's
you getting?
always subjective. Yeah, what are you getting?
I'm
There's-
getting strong notes of whiskey is what I'm getting.
Oh,
That's
yes.
about
I get
that's
some of that
about
too.
as far as I'm able to go.
I don't know. I'm not getting whiskey in there at all. You know, maybe like old tire streaks.
You'll find that
and
I'm in many ways the quintessential normie, and so when I taste this, I think this tastes like whiskey,
it does.
and that's about as far as I can go. But it's quite good, so I will give it that.
Yeah. We like to assign arbitrary adjectives anyway to have the conversation seem more interesting, but it does in the end taste more
Tastes like whiskey.
like whiskey. Yeah, it's definitely whiskey. I don't confuse this with tequila at all or
No.
Diet Dr. Pepper.
Nope.
Neither of those things. It
It
doesn't
does not
evoke
have
those
23
for me.
flavors.
No, I don't even
Just
think
the
it had.
two.
Yeah, yeah.
Banana and sawdust.
Yes, banana salt. That's not the flavor.
Announcing my new distillery, Banana Sawdust. Check out our products in 4 years when they're ready.
Good luck. Have fun.
That's like a good horse racing name or something. You know, horse like a racing horse. Banana Sawdust and is in third, coming around the corner. Banana Sawdust now takes over. You know. I wasn't drinking before this. I don't really know. So we should describe our scale, though. You probably
Yes.
are ready for the scale, the rating.
I'm
Highly technical scale for whiskey
Mhm.
rating. It is 0 to 8 tentacles. 0 being terrible. You threw this out. 4 is middle of the road. You know, not that bad. 8 is amazing. Clear the shelves. Green River can't keep up with your consumption. Yeah. And you can noodle on that one. Robbie will go first. He likes it.
Yeah, I
That's
don't
the only
like
way
it
I let him
first.
talk.
Yeah. I forget what you said the mash bill was. Is this just
70%
mostly
corn,
Okay.
21% rye, 9% malted barley.
All right. Yeah, so for that, pretty good. It's a little spicier than a typical bourbon, probably because of the rye. I like that. And it just feels very balanced to me. Like it's not too sweet, not too spicy. I'm gonna give this one a 7, I think. Pretty good.
Interesting. Okay. So as not to taint your opinion, Aaron, do you feel ready to go next?
Yeah, I feel ready to go next. It is very much above average. I don't think they need to ramp up production on my account. So I will say it's a solid 6.
Yeah.
Nice.
We'll try again.
Well, I do have to say the downward pressure applied is because of it being whiskey and not gin. So unfamiliar with what could be the top of the mountain. So maybe this is the top. Maybe this is an 8 and my scale's broken.
Well, I mean, as far as your memory serves, when you were drinking more whiskey, what was your favorite?
Again, back to the sophistication thing. It was usually just Bullet. That was usually it.
Yeah.
Just kind of like right down the middle, normie guy in my mid to late 20s, Bullet.
Yeah.
Solid choice.
Yeah. It's something that's very accessible. Price point is good. You know, it's tasty. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Would you rather have, well, I guess you might not know. You need to go try some Bullet again and see where it sits with you now. Because that's the thing is over time, your palate changes. You've been drinking all this gin, come back to a Bullet, and you're like, maybe not so much.
Yeah, that's a good question. Now that I'm a man of the world, I might have different tastes.
Yeah, you're moving on up. So yeah, I like this quite a bit. I also I believe it was somewhere around $50-$60, so it's not crazy in terms of approachability. I like a higher proof. This is a little hot for me, oddly enough. Once you start to hit over 115 to 120, then maybe I'm putting some drops of water in here typically, but would definitely have again. Hopefully I don't chug this bottle tonight, but life is depressing. It's hard to say. And so I'm going to give it like I know, weird. 6.8. I'm going to give it a 6.8.
Oh, we're doing a decimal. I didn't realize that was.
We
I
could
didn't
do
realize
anything
that
we
was in
want.
play. Wow.
I'm glad you're buying it because I mean the whole thing is bullshit, Aaron. So you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, that's much of the world. In fact, you can just do whatever you want.
Yeah. So if you want to change, if you want to change your rating based on that, now knowing that You can go 6.5. You could go
Yeah, now that I
6.2.
know
You can,
fractions are in play, I'll bump it. I'll bump it to a 6.5 for sure.
yeah, nice. Well,
All
I
right.
hope you continue to enjoy it then.
I do have to drive home, so I won't enjoy it to its fullest, but I will
Yeah.
continue. I will
You gotta
continue to sip.
you got a healthy pour there, so you probably just shouldn't
Yeah,
refill it.
that's probably an oopsie doopsie on my part, but we'll see. We'll pace
Yes,
ourselves.
Yeah.
I forget about that. Yeah, like you had the clever idea of rather than renting an office, you rented an apartment and
I sure
converted
did.
that into like studio office. I was like,
hmm
that is very clever. I was very impressed by that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, this behind me is a false wall.
Yeah.
In some ways, it is a real wall. It is a 2x4 stud wall. However, it is propped in front of the windows that belong to this bedroom in this apartment where I am currently working. So yeah, we have at the time we had two-year-olds and two newborns, and I was like, this ain't gonna work.
Yeah.
And so I started looking around at like office space, and here in Dallas, they're very proud of their office space. And what I needed was a little bit different than what was being offered. What was being offered was a lot of like co-working spaces and share a
Yeah.
desk, and here's a 10 by 10 room that will make you depressed. And what I needed was a lot more space to like set all of this up and leave it. And so there are just apartment complexes everywhere around us. And so this is like 3 minutes from my house, and it's got a kitchen and a bathroom and a gym and a pool that the family uses. It's like, oh, it's kind of great.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a nice side effect benefits. Yeah, I
Mhm.
haven't seen a co-working space yet that offers a pool.
No, it's really a wide open market. I have actually thought that like if I were, oh, I don't know. If I were like more of a robber baron, I'm trying to like embody this robber baron mindset, but only the good parts, of course. If I were
Mm,
more of that, I would build out like a full complex that's like work from home, but it's places like this that are meant to be offices. And so instead of just having like this, bleak office park, it's like you get a kitchen and a bathroom and like not a bedroom, but a room like an office where you can work, and
yeah,
there are shared amenities and stuff like that. I just think with people working from home, there's still an unmet real estate need, but real estate costs a lot of money. I don't have a lot of
yeah.
money, so that's kind
Oh,
of where I stopped.
We
well,
can call it a working space instead of a co-working space
yeah,
because
not
you're just in
Oh,
your
co-working.
own little
that's
thing.
inspired. Yeah, maybe we'll let it bake a little longer, but a working space, it's a good start. It's a great start.
A
I like
doing
it.
space,
Yeah,
not a little with like it's a doer space, like they
yeah,
have
I like that.
maker spaces or something. Your
I
doer
thought
space.
about calling it the home office. I felt like that was kind of cheeky,
Oh,
It's kind of
Yeah,
like, oh yeah, I'm working out of the home office. Oh, at your house? No, no,
yeah.
no, the
no,
home office.
the
It's like when
home.
you have a bar and you call it the library.
Exactly. That's
Yeah,
exactly right.
that's true. Yeah.
hmm
Yeah,
All right, should we go to some hot takes? I know you're
we should.
itching.
These old lukewarm takes.
We'll
We
just
will go
skip
into them.
those. You could skip the lukewarm ones. Just a
Well,
list.
which of them are actually hot? I mean, I guess the last couple are kind of relevant, but
Yeah.
um, I don't know. I'm gonna start at 2. We're gonna skip 1 for the rest of time.
He doesn't know how
Tailwind.
many's on this list, by the way, so you could just
I know.
say
No,
I'm
I
telling
don't.
you, Chuck. I'm
So
telling
far,
you.
this means nothing to me, but I'm
Yeah.
very excited.
Tailwind or vanilla CSS?
Obviously. Next question.
Which
Oh wait,
one?
wait, wait. Oh, no. Okay, so I guess it's not obvious. Tailwind, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, I
Okay.
thought so, but what they
100%
say
every
about
time.
assumption or assuming. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
if you assume, then you'll pick Tailwind CSS every time.
Yeah.
Tailwind is clearly far and away the best way to write CSS. Separations of concerns, not applicable here. The separation of concerns does not mean separation of files. We can just say that.
Yeah.
The notion that you're going to switch out your entire look and feel of your website without touching your HTML, adorable. It's the same notion that like you're going to switch out your entire database, and so you need to write everything in the repository pattern because one day you might need to switch from MySQL to Postgres, and won't you be so glad you have this level of indirection in the middle?
Yeah.
Not going to happen.
Yeah,
So
no one does that. No one does
no
any
one
of
does
it.
that.
No.
No one should do that. No one has ever done that. Tailwind CSS.
All right,
Nice.
this one might be spicier. We'll see. Get rebase or get merge?
Git desktop. I don't know. I use GitHub's desktop client, and I just cowboy Git. Whatever the little interface shows me, that's what I do. So couldn't tell you. And here's the hottest take. I don't care. I super don't care.
There it is.
The people that are like, oh, you got to keep the Git history pure. Why? For who? Nobody. That's a relic.
For the sake of doing it.
No,
the
nobody's
same
gonna go
people who
back.
get the same people who get rebase get log and get log in chunks and do different formatting things in their command, in their terminal, and that is this many people. Like it's a small
I
subset
can
of
count
people.
on 0 hands the number of times I've done git log
Yeah.
because
I think
it's
I've done
0.
git log twice.
No.
See, you both have had very kind coworkers in your past, I guess, because I
I got
went through the time.
rebase beat into me.
Yeah,
But
same.
I still don't do anything else. Like I do that, but I don't use any other git commands. Like I have to look everything else up if I need it.
Anytime, so like I do some open source work, and then there are PRs that come up on GitHub, and it is truly just whichever way the spirit leads is what button I press. Squash and merge, maybe merge. Who knows? We'll see. It's just like I don't know. I don't care as long as it works. And then so I'll merge something, and then I'll be like, oh, I should fix something. I'll come on my desktop, and I'll do some stuff, and then push it straight to main. It's like, who cares? I don't care.
Whoa.
This is for libraries. For applications that are being deployed, I always have main auto deployed, and so I don't traditionally do straight to main on applications that I'm deploying. But like my personal website, yeah, I'll just push straight to main and it auto deploys, and we'll find out. But like our course platform, we'll do PRs and review them and then merge them into main. But I still don't think main is protected. I think you can still just straight push
If
to
you
main.
want to, you can push to main, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're a small enough team, I'm sure, where it's like, hey, you broke this. Go fix it right now. Yeah.
Yeah, and on the other hand, I'll do when I'm working by myself, I'll do PRs and I'm the only person that's ever seen it. And that even like it's like it's helpful to see that code in a different window. So you open the PR and then you go and you're like, man, did I write that? That's really stupid. And it's just like viewing it in a different piece of Chrome is really helpful. So yeah, I have very few hard and fast rules, and around Git I have 0 hard and fast rules.
Okay. Fair enough. Nothing wrong with that. All right, Robert, what you got?
All right. Let or const?
PHP.
Right. I was gonna say, like,
Yeah.
wait a minute.
Don't care.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels like another tinkering at the margins. I think it's probably const by default, but it's another place where I'm just like, I don't know. I don't really care. The only time that I will care about that is when I think someone else is going to look at it and judge me. And so like a lot of this open source work I've been doing recently, I've been like, what are the JavaScript guys going to say? I got to be really careful. I should use const.
Yeah. Well, most of what they say is bullshit. So just
those guys
disregard
are
it.
assholes. I mean, who cares? Like, they argue about a lot of little things.
Like let or const.
I will say generally people on the internet like to argue about things that I don't find very important, including like semicolons at the end or JS doc or TypeScript. I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know. Do whatever you want. So
yeah, I mean the browser can't read that, so who cares?
Who cares?
And PHP is very do whatever you want. So
yeah.
PHP has been and will always be the wild, wild west.
Yeah.
And we love it. We love it for that. I will say PHP 8 some of the 8 series has released a ton more like typing stuff. And it's been quite nice. I think one of the big things that one of the big disconnects of JavaScript and PHP is we don't pass around like big unshaped data objects as like arrays or something, because we like JavaScript have classes, but unlike JavaScript we use classes. And so like you basically know, like you have the public interface, you've got the behavior, you've got the state, it's all wrapped up in this nice class. And so you'll type hint like to a method, you'll type hint like I should receive this interface or I should receive this class, but that's kind of the end of it. Like we're not like writing type definitions because we get a lot out of the class-based nature of the language.
Yeah, I love classes.
Classes are the best. Freaking love classes. One time I tweeted about like, oh wow, did you know in JavaScript with the class you can't like programmatically access a private method? How interesting. Neat. Let's all have fun. And then everybody was like, you moron! Why are you using classes in JavaScript? And it's like,
Because
oh,
they're
no.
there.
Oh
and we
no.
fought for like 10 years.
Yeah, I
to
didn't
get
invent the language, y'all. I'm just trying to use
Yeah.
it. And
Yeah.
Oh man,
people
yeah,
are like,
this
oh,
is-
problem number 1 is using classes. I'm like, great, tell me why. And nobody could tell me why. They were all just like, because of classes, you know what I mean? And I'm like,
classical
Because-
inheritance.
No,
They'll all
I
say it's
don't know
classical
what you mean.
inheritance, and most of them probably never used classes when they got to be
they
first.
they
Yeah.
don't know why.
Yeah,
they don't know why.
It's
Like-
classical inheritance, but it
Yeah,
doesn't make
well,
it
yes. I mean,
or
if
bad.
you want to get down to the actual reasons, there are reasons. But if you want to like think about the easiest developer experience and not care about those reasons, classes are the way to go. And like all this
State and
hooks,
behavior all together.
yeah,
That's great.
Yeah.
yeah, like you can have a thing that you can reason about. Because my big argument is always like people are like, oh, here's these like 15 hooks in React to do this thing, and it's like, well, you're still reasoning about this as if it were some kind of entity, which could be a class. And then you could like encapsulate all of how it works in that class. Like, what are we even doing here by just showing, oh, we can do it all with functions. Look how cool we are. Like,
Correct.
Well,
Yep.
That's the spiciest take thus far. I don't even know if we can do better than that. But
Let's
I'm
try.
gonna
What
try.
else you got?
Well, just one more thing. Given what you released today, but you're on the orange Lambo train. Rails or Laravel?
I think obviously my choice is Laravel. I will say we are co-conspirators fighting side by side, Rails and Laravel. I think Rails and Laravel share a rich history. It's no secret that Laravel has been in part inspired by Rails, in addition to being inspired by other frameworks, even stuff as far afield as .NET, which to me is very far afield. But I think Laravel has made a few decisions that make it more productive to write Laravel applications. And some of those are incidental, and that would be Taylor's pride and joy and source of money is Laravel. DHH's pride and joy and source of money is Basecamp and his cars. So like, in terms of building out the ecosystem, Laravel is a much more cohesive, coherent end-to-end ecosystem because Taylor is solely focused on Laravel and its ecosystem. He does not have a Basecamp that makes him $100 million a year. I'm sure he would love to have that, but he doesn't, right? Yeah. And so that works out great for us because he and now the team continue to make things that make the lives of Laravel developers easier. And that includes free stuff, right? So that includes like in our ecosystem, we've got something called Laravel Horizon, which the closest corollary in the Rails ecosystem would be Sidekick, which is a third-party gem. And it is a very flexible, very powerful queue driver, basically, to spin up multiple queue workers and retries and all of that stuff. Horizon is just totally free, totally open source, maintained first party by the Laravel team, where Sidekick is a commercial open source. So part of it's free, part of it's paid, and it's maintained by this wonderful guy called Mike Perham. No association whatsoever to any sort of Rails core team. And so in the Laravel ecosystem, you get all of these things that, yes, are maintained, which I think is important, but more importantly, they have the same sensibilities as the rest of the framework. And what that lends itself to is something like Laravel Cloud comes along, which will be released in 5 days, and you then have the owners and maintainers of the framework fine-tuning the framework for cloud and fine-tuning cloud for the framework. And that's something that even with Heroku back in its heyday, you didn't get. It was outsiders building something for Rails. And if you wanted to land any patches into Rails, like, go through the normal channels. Yeah. But as we're watching cloud be about to release, you're seeing commits in the open source repo that's like, if Laravel Cloud, then do this. And you're like, so this is going to be pretty seamless because you own the freaking framework. Right. So I feel like that's a big incidental benefit, is that DHH extracted Rails from Basecamp, and Taylor built Laravel to build what he thought was going to be multiple SaaS companies, and ended up actually being multiple SaaS products, but they're all focused on Laravel. And so the origin story is like a mirror image of itself. Mm-hmm. But then I think the other extremely crucial decision was regarding the integration of JavaScript frameworks. DHH is like, no, not once, never. F you guys. Yeah. And Taylor was like, great, all comers are welcome. And so he, along with the community, developed, Inertia, which is this glue between many kinds of backends, Rails included, and many front-end frameworks, Vue, React, Svelte, that sort of stuff. And so Taylor, I think in an abundance of wisdom, or maybe an abundance of pragmatism, he decided, like, people like front-end frameworks. Maybe we should support that. And so he has made a way for Vue, React, and we have our own version of like Live Vue or HTMX or something like that called Livewire, that I think is above and beyond even Live Vue or HTMX. It's quite good. But we have all these like either first or like first and a half party front end frameworks, where Rails is just kind of like, hey, we've got Hotwire and we've got Stimulus, and they kind of work, but they're not documented. And if you want to use React, like, I don't know what to tell you. And so I think Laravel has made itself very productive in terms of like starting with Laravel new on your desktop, and then shipping it all the way to cloud, and giving like many blessed paths to get there. And so I think, I'm of course biased, but I do think if I try to be objective, I think Laravel is probably more productive for a few of those reasons.
Yeah.
Well, I do want to. Sorry, Chuck.
No,
I do want to kind of expand on that and ask, like, so are people typically using Laravel as like shipping the entire application, like, whereas Rails is used a lot for just the API side, and then like you would build your front end? Can you do the same with Laravel?
You could. So you could do. I have learned that backend for front end is a thing, which is different than backend. But what you could do, you could just have Laravel as an API only. And some people do that in conjunction with like Next or Nuxt. And so blows my mind. You're running two backends at that point. It doesn't make a ton of sense to me, but you could do that. You could also do just like a raw Vue or React front end with an API backend. I do not think that is the most common way to ship a full Laravel application. I think the most common way is either with Inertia, which would combine Vue or React, or Livewire, which is kind of like PHP on the front end, but hand wavy. Laravel Cloud, for example, so like their in-house flagship SaaS product is Laravel on the back end, React on the front end, Inertia in the middle, mono repo, we're not going to coordinate two separate releases. It's just all right there, and we just push to deploy. So I think that is the most common way to ship Laravel. I worked at a company that used Rails, and they had Rails API on the back end and Next.js on the front end, and I think that is more common in Rails land because the integration is way worse, right? So to ship a monorepo that has Rails and React, from what I understand, is quite difficult. And so I think what people end up doing is Rails, Next.js, and then we'll have them talk over traditional API.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
Yeah, that's interesting because when you think about it, these web application frameworks, like true full everything, all bells and whistles, web application frameworks give you everything you need. You've got auth and all that kind of stuff. So if you decide that you want to have a full-on front-end framework with it, you're kind of cutting off half the benefits to a degree, right? Like if you're just taking in JSON payloads that you have to interpret and rebuild all the logic on your front-end application, you're just doing
then
it
you're
because you want to
inventing
use
the browser, right?
Yeah.
So you're inventing client-side routing.
Well, spas kind of do that anyway, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're inventing session management with, JWTs or whatever that's supposed to be. You end up inventing a lot of stuff where if you can use backend and the browser for like what they're good for, but still have a super tight integration to a very modern front end, that feels like the best of all worlds to me versus let's use static HTML, which is like, Rails and Laravel both have like templating languages where you can just spit out HTML. Sometimes useful, not much anymore. And then on the other side is like separate front end, separate back end. And then you're like, well, how do these two things communicate and share authentication authorization? And you're like, I don't know, man. So yeah, we get like with Laravel, the term full stack has kind of been co-opted, in my opinion, by things like Next, where it's like, you can write server code, we're full stack. And I'm like, yeah, but when I start writing server code, there's nothing for me. You've dumped me in an empty warehouse with no tools, and you're like, build your backend. Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to invent auth.
No, you just import another package. It's JavaScript land. There's a package for that. Just
that's
make your
the thing.
choices,
It's like
puzzle pieces,
They claim freedom, and I see complexity. I'm like, so you're telling me you're gonna pull in an auth, a queue driver, an email, an authorization, authentication. You're gonna pull in a cron job, and truly, what that ends up being is you're gonna pay for services to do that. Oftentimes. And that to me
guess
is like,
who has invested in a bunch of those services in San Francisco?
Not Guillermo.
No,
does it start with
definitely
G
not.
and end with Guillermo? Yeah. Yeah. And so
talk about incentives. I mean,
the conspiracy theory is like, yes, he's invested. I mean, the true part is he's invested in every developer tool company in and around that ecosystem. The conspiracy theory is that Next is nerfed because of that. I don't know if that part is true. I do believe, because I continue to see people say it, we want to choose packages. We want to be free. And my opinion is the freedom actually comes from the constraint, right? Yeah. So if you have a framework that has an amazing ORM that is built into the queue driver, that is built into the email providers, that is built into the routing. So like you could have a route in Laravel that like binds to a model. So you can say like podcast/1, and then in your controller, you don't get the number 1, you get an instance of the podcast model because the routing is aware of the ORM. And then in the controller, you can dispatch a job, and the job will serialize itself without the model, but with a reference to the model. And then when it wakes back up to be processed, it will reinstantiate the model because the queue layer is aware of the ORM layer. And so those are the types of things where it's like, if everything is working together, then what you have to do is actually the scary part, and maybe we've arrived at the reasoning. The scary part is you have to build an application and see if people want it. And you don't get to just fiddle, right? You have to do the hard part.
Wow, you sound like a prisoner to me. I don't know.
Yeah, I know. It's so frustrating to have all these tools at my disposal. I know.
Yeah. I think the problem is like a small subset of people that like to use React frameworks really love over engineering things. They want to build everything you just described from scratch.
So
The
do I. It's
other
fun.
side of those people are just following those people saying, oh, they said
Yeah.
this was cool. And then actually, I can't build that. So I'm going to use a SaaS product for everything. And then it's just like, what are you
with a
even
very
writing? Like,
generous free tier, and if you ever blow
yeah.
up, they send you a
Mhm.
bunch of giant bills.
Yeah.
And
I will
Mhm.
always be team opinionated framework over everything else. Like it makes things so
Yeah,
much
and like
simpler.
the stuff that you do have to pay for. So like you have to pay somebody to like send your emails, right?
Yeah.
The way that and even beyond what you have to pay for, the way that Laravel operates is everything is driver based. So you want to use MySQL, SQLite, Postgres, Mongo, ClickHouse, Timescale, whatever. Great, we've got a driver for that. You want to use Postmark, you want to use Resend, you want to use SES. Great, we've got drivers for that. S3, R2, B2, Dropbox, FTP, we've got drivers for that. And so you're not really like, it's not really a situation where it's like, oh, I really want to use Redis for my cache, but I'm using Laravel. Great. Just use the Redis driver for the cache, and then everything else continues to work great. Oh, sometimes you need a Redis driver, sometimes you need a file driver, and sometimes you need a null driver just because you're testing the cache and you don't actually want anything cached. You can create 3 separate instances of the cache, all backed by different providers, and you can do whatever you want. And so it's become this kind of like hub and spoke. Like you have the interface, and then underneath the interface are all of these different drivers that are the providers, and that kind of spans every component that you can really think of.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it does and it has, right? To a degree, in various web frameworks, we've had these things for like a decade, but there's resistance. I mean, I think I understood early resistance around wanting to do more in the browser because compute costs and there was a lack of a cloud, let's say, and things around that to like do
Yeah.
more in the browser to create dynamic experiences. But the problem is
Yeah.
that the browser is caught
Leveraging
up.
users' machines
Sure,
were
yeah,
like
you're
was the
offloading
big thing
compute.
like 10 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then we got some fancy complex interfaces and, front end devs wanted to flex a little bit, and that has worked to a degree, but we have a lot nicer tools now, and compute is cheap and all these other
Yeah.
things. And so what has been before has also moved forward with us and gives us, like you said, then we would have to get out of our own way and actually try to make something that people like.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, and I think like it's easy to lump in, we'll just say vanilla Vue and vanilla React with the JavaScript industrial complex. But I think
right.
I think the real perpetrators here are the merchants of complexity, which are like, no. Like you could use React, but what you really need is Next. And what you really need is Next on Vercel. And what you really need is Turbo Pack. And you're like,
Do
what? I don't know what, like, why? That's the
Yeah.
problem. That's the problem I have, is like, who is building a proper full stack application with one of these like full stack JavaScript frameworks? Where is the back end? That's always my question, is like,
No one knows.
who's running the cron jobs? That's the thing I want to know. Who's running the cron jobs?
Vercel.
Vercel
has
now,
cron
yeah,
jobs.
they have cron jobs now, but otherwise it was another SaaS provider. It's
Who's running the queues? Is that another SaaS provider?
oh, absolutely.
Because when
Yeah.
I think
Vercel
of
doesn't have
like,
queues, I don't think.
They don't.
Do they? No.
when I think of like when I think of web applications, I think scheduled commands so that I can do stuff, I can do stuff every hour, every minute, every 15 minutes, whatever. Crucial. I don't know how I would build a web application without a cron. I think of queued jobs. I'm putting thousands of jobs in every hour. At my old company, we were putting in hundreds of thousands a day into the queue just to like offload it from request response. And to imagine like trying to do that in like a serverless way, or like a someone else is the provider of my queues or crons, I don't, and it could be because I'm old, I don't understand how that works. And like, okay, I need to send an email. That is very normal. I don't want to pay a provider that has their own SDK, right? I want to use my framework and then decide who will do the actual delivery. And I'm super aware that I could be the old man that yells at the cloud, but I don't understand how you build a web application without some of these primitives that are like available to you, you know?
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
I
do
think
that
the
in
point,
functional programming first.
yeah, I think that's two things is people love functional programming, which whatever. But then yeah, it's just like everyone just wants to have the pain of figuring out how to do it themselves, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I just think that like the paradigms of early internet and then what were the norms of creating websites and web applications and things like that have been diluted and lost to a certain amount of our colleagues out in the world. And the solution to the problem has become, well, I've had, these auth providers shoved down my throat. And so, and why would you build your own auth? It's so hard. And blah, blah, blah. Just join our platform and move into actually building your product. But they, I think, were like some of the initial ones. But now, very many aspects of creating SaaS applications now has been like sign up for these. I mean, you've seen a bunch of these tweets, right? Like where it's like, here are these 10 companies. This is my stack. It's my custom put
Yeah,
together stack. And most of it is integration work. You're doing
yeah.
integration work for a CRUD application. What the hell are you bringing to it? And if your company does blow up, you're rewriting the whole thing at some point because you're not going to
but they
pay.
like rewriting the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like that
And then it's a
I've
win.
been at so many companies, or I guess not been at, but like with consulting, like we had done, there's so many companies where you work there like a year, they're rewriting a whole thing in like whatever the hottest, newest thing is right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then, by the time you're done with that, they're going to redo that process to rewrite it in. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to React. Now we're going to Next. Now
Yeah.
we're going to Vue. But like, we maybe like Nuxt, but like, maybe we don't. Maybe like, I don't know. Everyone just likes to rewrite stuff for years and years and years because it's fun. And
It is
maybe it
fun.
is fun,
Rather,
but like,
yeah,
Yeah.
it is fun. It's fun for engineers, but if there's a problem there where that is basically where you think the ROI is, maybe your product just sucks. Maybe that's the problem.
Well, I don't know if you guys ever used the screen sharing tool Tuple.
Yeah.
Great
Mhm.
tool. Used to work there. Great company. One of the founders Ben Orenstein has this tweet, and it was actually a subtweet of me, which I can get into later. Ben and I are great friends, and this was, I texted him immediately, and I was like, "Are you talking about me?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm talking about you." But it was
Yeah,
a
talk
subtweet
about
of
you.
me, and he said, it was like a quote, and it said, "We're building a tool to make developers' lives easier." That was in the quote. And then Ben's commentary right below that was, have you ever met a developer? Because they value their time at approximately negative $100 per hour. And it's like, this is the reality. If you're getting paid to like play with new tech, who can blame you? Like, yeah,
Sure.
do stuff. Like, have fun. Like,
Yeah.
build, like, waste company time. It's not my money. But
Yeah.
I think there's a big difference when it's like you're out in the world and you have to see something to fruition and then be responsible for maintaining it, and like your livelihood depends on this thing working. A lot of stuff just kind of like don't care about that, falls by the wayside, and you
Yeah.
are solely focused on shipping a good quality, robust, maintainable thing to production, and you don't have time to like futz around. I think Laravel has succeeded in part because the PHP community doesn't really have that shiny object syndrome, because I think it's some sort of like evolutionary pressure where PHP has never been lauded. I mean, there's maybe a time in like the year 2000 or 2001 where it was like fine to use PHP, but even back then it was like, we're using ASP.NET. We're not using
Right.
PHP because open source is crazy. And it was like PHP has never been cool or sexy or like braggable. And so we don't end up bragging a lot. We don't end up talking about like, oh, my PHP stack. And so what that leaves is like, that leaves a vacuum, and the things that we end up talking about are like the things that we're hacking on, the projects that we're building, the SaaS tools that we're trying to create, all of these other things. And so I think there has been some sort of like evolutionary force that has shaped the PHP community towards a more of like a true like hacker mentality, bootstrap business builder. It's like, I'm going to pick the simplest, stupidest, create the universe and destroy it on every request. I'm going to pick that because I know that I can ship something super fast. And my goal is
What a cliffhanger.
Yeah, we'll never know what the goal was. Oh, I thought it would fix itself by now.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard the one about the train conductor?
No. I can't wait though.
Well, I don't know if I have time to tell it. It's like a 10-minute joke.
Oh, well.
and I'm glad that you all agree.
Okay.
So thank you for coming to my thanks for coming to my TED Talk. I appreciate that.
What a cliffhanger.
I can't. Yeah,
You
I
were
cannot
like, "My
believe
goal
that y'all
is," and
y'all
then you
agreed with
froze.
that. That was crazy. That was like my most controversial opinion, and you guys. Were
I
like,
think we'll just
"Yeah,
have to find
definitely,
out in
definitely."
editing what that was.
Yeah.
Well, we'll
Well,
never know.
here's the thing is that I was looking for something to really like spark a massive change in my life, and I was like, I can't wait till we talk to Aaron so that I can figure out what I'm gonna do next, and you've solved it. So
I'm glad I could provide
this is
that.
good. Yeah,
Mhm.
you know, this is like
Yeah.
mentors can come from anywhere.
That's right.
Yeah. So and there we go.
I kept going. You'll have to get it in post. It's very
Yeah,
good.
we will.
It's a good.
I
it's a good
love that
one.
you
I'm
lean
hoping
into
it
that.
is.
I'm actually fine
Yeah.
with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if anyone in the stream or whatever saw it, but we'll
Yeah.
find out.
Yeah, Adam, whenever you edit this, don't cut that out. Make it work.
Right. Yeah. Thank
Good
you.
luck. Sorry,
Thanks,
guy.
Adam. You know, it happens. Sometimes I just love the timing. I'm actually totally fine with how that worked out.
It'll be fun. I wonder if the people that are listening live heard what it was. Let us know. If
Oh
you
no,
did.
it was totally me. No, I was gone. I got a little iMessage pop up that said can't make Wi-Fi calls, and I was just like, Riverside.
Well,
You'll catch it in post. I'm just gonna
yeah,
keep talking.
they record it
Yeah,
locally, so yeah,
they
it'll be
so
fine.
We'll be all right there.
Yeah.
It'll be
Yeah,
fine.
we'll catch that later. All right. So, and that was
Yeah.
just a clear end to that
Yeah.
discussion.
No
So
more
it's
tech.
Laravel.
It's
Laravel is the Vercel for the good guys. That's what I heard.
for the
And
working man.
It's
The
for the
working
working
person.
man. Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
the common folk who like bright
Mhm.
orange fucking Lamborghinis.
Yeah.
That's right.
I do respect the hustle.
Well, that's because
down
anytime you
with
write
that.
a dollar sign in PHP, you get an actual dollar.
Mhm.
So
That's right.
if you do it enough, you get a Lamborghini.
Yeah,
exactly right.
it's not just for jQuery. It's the OG dollar sign.
Yeah.
That's true.
Mhm.
So, all right. Well, we got a couple other tech things. We also were gonna. We were gonna talk non-tech.
we talked
things. What do you
all
want to
tech.
cover?
Let's-
We did a lot of things. Yes. How was your staycation?
Oh wow, that's very nice of you. My staycation was amazing. So my birthday was last week. My wife came in to, like a few weeks before and came into the room and was like, "Hey, what if for your birthday you went to a hotel just by yourself?" And I was like,
Yes.
"Are you serious? Because that sounds
dope.
amazing."
Yeah.
And she
Can
had
I go
done that
right
for
now?
her. Yeah, she had done that for her birthday, and so I think she knew like what a treat it was. And so,
Yeah.
I went down to a fancy hotel here in Dallas and just had the time of my life. It was great. I had so much freaking fun. It was very relaxing. Ate at the restaurant by myself, which is just the best thing in the world. Seeing a movie by yourself and eating at a restaurant by yourself.
Yeah, those are great things.
Totally underrated. People are scared to do it, but like you got to lean in. That was great. Hooked up my computer to the TV. So I had my computer on the TV with the AirPods in, watched Sicario 2, slept in. It was the freaking best. Did a lot of crazy journaling. So I'm sitting at the bar. It's like 3:00 on a Monday afternoon. I'm the only person at the bar, sitting at the bar, having a drink, have my headphones in, have my trusty yellow legal pad, and I'm like scheming about how to take over the world. And it was perfect. It was so
one
fun.
Negroni at a time.
Exactly. And actually, I don't know I don't know if this is standard procedure, but I showed up and the concierge gave me a little card for 2 free drinks at the fancy bar.
Ooh.
That's
Like
nice.
that's $30.
You know what
Heck
that sounds
yeah.
like? That sounds like your
What?
wife called ahead.
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, knowing
Maybe. I don't know.
knowing wives, that sounds like she was like, do this thing for yourself.
I
And then
did.
also
I did go
calling
home and
being
tell her
like,
that and was like, "Oh, you won't believe what happened," and she didn't cop to it. So
no.
either she doesn't want the credit or she didn't do it.
Yeah, I don't know. Listen, just roll with it. Be like, you did this amazing thing. Thank you. And she's like,
Yeah.
I didn't, but I did.
Yeah, she's way too pure to take credit for that. She'd say, "Oh no, I didn't do that. That wasn't me." I'm like,
Right.
"Oh, just trying to help you out here, but
Yeah, just roll with it. But
yeah.
go ahead.
So yeah, so I am curious. You mentioned at the top of the episode you have 2 sets of twins. So I have questions around, was that like, did you have the first set of twins and then go, I want more kids? Or did you like, I don't know, how did you end up with 2 sets of twins? Like, was that all planned? Do you want a big family? Like, I don't know.
Robbie,
Whatever you're willing to share.
You know how they got there, right?
I know how it works.
Okay.
Yes, I know.
Yes.
But
He's a father also, so he knows how
when
it
a man and
works.
a woman are in a covenant relationship. Let me describe it to you. So yes, we had the first set of twins. So they're 3.5 and 1 now, and so we had the first set. Through much pain and difficulty, we ended up with children, and it happened to be twins. Long journey to get there. Then it was like, we want more kids. We want more than 2 children. And the first time it was such an arduous process. Let's start earlier than we think is reasonable. And let's just like take all the pressure off. We're not going to see any doctors. We're not going to like do any apps to track any sorts of time. It's like, we're just going to let go and let God, right? And first time, just like very first time, got pregnant.
Yeah.
And of course, thrilled to death. Like, oh man, thank goodness it wasn't this long, horrible road. She goes to have the ultrasound. We're thinking like, it's fine. I'll stay. I'm at home working. It's not a big deal. First appointment, whatever. I think I actually had was giving like a webinar that day, which is so embarrassing. So I'm on this Zoom for my old company, being a big old doofus. She comes home and I go in and I'm like nervous, of course, because the first time it was so painful. And I go in and I'm like, what did we see? Like, are we good? Is the fertilized egg in the right spot? Because it turns out sometimes they don't end up in the right spot. Been there, horrible. She's like, yes, it's in the right spot. Oh, what a relief. And then she shows me the sonogram and I'm like, boy, this looks familiar. This can't be right. And she recorded it. We have a video of it, which is really quite nice. And I just started laughing and I said, are you serious? And she started laughing and then she started crying and I started crying and I'm laughing and it's just like the craziest possible outcome. And I had always joked that like, I don't like seeing people left out. And so I was thinking, we can't have 3 kids because we can't have the twins and the hanger on, right? The extra. So we're going to have 4 kids. Yeah. We're going to have 4 kids so that like the singletons, as we call them, the singletons have like somebody they can relate to, and the twins have somebody they can relate to. And I had always joked that like, honestly, the perfect setup would be another set of twins, because then we have a family of 4. Perfect setup would be another set of boy-girl twins. Everybody's got a twin. Everybody's got an opposite gender. Everybody's got a same gender. Nobody's left out. What could be better? And, sometimes you speak it into fruition. That is exactly what happens. We have 2 sets of boy-girl twins, 2.5 years apart. And everybody has their friend. And so, yes, we got very, very lucky, both in having another set of twins and having what is, in our opinion, the perfect gender mix: 2 boys, 2 girls.
Right. Yeah, we are lacking that gender mix. We have all boys. We were expecting 2 boys in April or May. Yeah, but so the interesting thing is, yes, I don't know how this works for your situation, but like, so my generation's behind me, right? Like my grandpa's, I think, parents, or I don't know. I'm gonna get this wrong, but like there has been every other generation sets of boy twins in my family.
Oh, really?
And they say that it can't come from the male, like the woman
They do
determines if
say
it's
that.
twins. And I'm like, bullshit. Like, there's no way that this
Are they
happens
all
every other.
fraternal along the line?
No, they're all identical.
They're all identical. Yeah, that is supposedly completely random.
Supposedly, but every other generation we have identical twins. My wife is pregnant with identical twins right now. So,
Amazing.
yeah, I think like we were talking to my cousin about it, and they're like, yeah, I think the thing is that it's not that it isn't possible, it's that science hasn't figured out how this part works yet. Like
I
this,
mean, it must be that. Right?
yeah,
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
'cause-
Yeah,
question for
I have heard that fraternal travels through the maternal genes because it is it's that aberration where the egg or they release too many eggs, right?
right.
Whereas identical is just like luck of the draw. I will say, I have an internet friend who has twins, singleton twins, and both sets of twins are identical. And so it does seem like there's something a little wonky going on there where it's like,
Yeah,
how did
I wonder if
this is random? That doesn't seem random to me. So
yeah, I wonder if the man there, like if you go back generations, has
Mm-hmm.
similar to me. I'd be curious to know.
I would too. Logan, if you're listening, let us know. If you're not listening,
still let us know.
it was worth
Yeah.
it was worth a
If
shot.
somebody
know one
knows
day.
Logan,
Yeah.
will you
Yeah.
ask him to let us know? That'd be great.
Please do.
Yeah.
So for the both of you, then here's the question: is the shop closed?
Yeah, for me it
Okay.
is.
Okay.
I mean, I haven't formally closed, but yes.
Oh,
I
I'm
do not want
formally
more
closed
kids. Yeah.
for business.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm formally. I only have 2 kids, and I'm formally closed. But I'm 47, so it's like,
Yeah.
yeah. No, I'm
Old
too
man
old for
River
that.
over there.
I can't. I can't mess it. Yeah, you called yourself old. I was laughing. I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
you don't know who you
36.
dealing with.
Feels
Yeah.
old. No, we're super done. We cannot mentally, emotionally, or financially support another set of
Yeah.
twins. So no,
Yeah.
we're definitely done. My wife
Yeah.
scheduled that appointment for me for sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. What
Like,
kind of
let's-
vehicle do you have to have everyone?
We
there?
have we acquired a new vehicle, which is you can just go and do that. We got what did we get? A Honda Odyssey, and the reason
Oh, nice.
That's the premium.
so
That was my first car. Fun fact.
Really.
I drove a Honda Odyssey in high school because that was super cool.
Character builder. So the reason we got the Honda Odyssey amongst all of the minivans is there's a YouTube a woman who YouTubes about cars for moms. That's all she does. I think she's actually like I forget what it's called. Goodness, it's like car seat mom or something like that. Anyway, she offers this consultation where you can pay. It's like $50 for a half hour. I'm like, girl, you got to raise your rates. You're a famous YouTuber. So I paid for a consultation, and I was like, here's the deal. We're gonna have 4 kids that need to be buckled in by an adult into car seats because lots of people have 4 kids and their oldest kid is 9, and you're like,
Yeah.
okay, fundamentally different, doesn't apply here.
Yeah.
And so we've got 2 newborns and 2.5-year-olds, and it's like we got to have hands on all 4 kids. And so we talked to her, and she was very helpful. And the car mom, that's what it's called. She was very helpful, and we went with the Honda Odyssey because it is the only minivan on the market where the captain's chairs slide left to right. And so they have a bench, but you can pull out the middle seat, and then you can slide the captain's chairs either side. You can slide them over to the middle. And so what that allows you to do is put the little kids in their more complicated seats, kind of up front, and then push them over, like push that seat over and pull it forward. And then the big kids can get in the back and an adult can get in the back instead of trying to go around the front between the captain's chair and the passenger seat in the front, try to fit between the car seat as a grown man, which is terribly just embarrassing and makes you question your dietary preferences. But like that allows you to get in and out a lot easier. And so Honda Odyssey it was. And you hate to admit it, it's very convenient. It's very
Yeah.
convenient.
Ooh, are you gonna get Robbie into another Honda Odyssey? I wonder.
I don't know. Caitlin is adamant about no minivans, so we'll see
Yeah,
how long that
so were
lasts.
we.
But yeah.
So were we. So I drive a Toyota 4Runner, which only holds 2 children at a time, and then we do have an au
doesn't have
pair.
a third row.
No, mine doesn't. I don't know if any
Uh-uh.
4Runners do, but we do have an au pair, and she drives my wife, Jennifer. She drives Jennifer's old car, which is a VW Atlas. And so between the 3 cars, the minivan's the only one that holds 4. The VW Atlas is set up to hold the big kids, and my 4Runner is set up to hold the little kids. So who's going where with whom kind of depends on what car ends up being driven.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Interesting. All right, we are about at time, so I want to ask this one thing that we try to ask everybody: if you weren't in tech, what other career would you choose? And this could be
easy.
okay.
No questions asked.
What was it?
Terraforming. I would buy. I don't know how you make money off of this. It's irrelevant.
It's okay. It's a passion.
Yeah,
I would buy 50, 100, 200 acres that are downtrodden, down on their luck acres, and I would bring them back to life. I would do some. I don't want to be a farmer. I don't want to kill a chicken or anything like that. I have little dilettante hands. I'm not going to do that. But what I do want to do is I want to build swales, and I want to capture water, and I want to build earthworks. Like I want to do all of that stuff and just like bring the land back to life. And probably also have a workshop on there where I can do light woodworking and light hobby electronics. And you know what? We'll wrap it all up in like a YouTube channel, and that's how I'll make money.
Yeah, there you go. See, you already know
Nice.
how to monetize. You know why? Because the whole framework is there.
yeah,
It's easy. It's easy.
yeah.
I could totally do that. And in fact, someday I will. When we make it, when Steve and I make it, that's what I'm going to do.
All right, you heard
I
it
love
here
it.
first.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, before we end, what things would you like to plug?
Oh man. Let's see. I'm very good on Twitter. You should follow me on Twitter. Aaron
Very
D
good.
as in Daniel Francis. If you're into screencasting, we've got a great course at screencasting.com, which is also a great domain.
It is.
High Performance SQLite.com and Mastering Postgres.com.
Yeah. You don't
So
care about
those
the
are all
Rails
of
one?
those are all of our properties. So if you want to help us afford diapers and some sort of other clothing and food for children, that would be amazing.
Yeah. So don't mail you my hand-me-downs. My kids are 5 and 8 now, so I've got some extras.
Send
if
them.
you need.
You've got the address. Send it all. We'll
That's
take it.
true. Oh, be careful, especially as it gets closer to summer, because I'm gonna have shit to get rid of.
It's great.
All
All
right,
right.
we're in.
Send it all. We are the Statue of Liberty of hand-me-down clothes. Send us your tired, your poor, your distressed. we will take it all. Whatever you
All
got,
right.
we will take it.
All right. Yeah, I will not send you a bag of dicks. I promise.
No, please do not do that. I don't even know what that would be. Send us clothes.
Sponsored by
instead.
bagofdicks.com.
Yes.
Yeah.
No. All right. Thanks everyone for listening. If you liked it, please subscribe, and we will catch you next time.
Is
Where's
that
your song,
not
Chuck?
in- Yeah, is that boom 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 boom
All
boom?
right, no, you don't have to.